good friend Brian Thomas, everybody! Keep it going for your host, everybody, John Lear, everybody! Good to be here. Charlie called me a couple months ago to do this. I jumped on it. Yeah, I'd love to do it. I'll be there. And we just found out something at the same time. I found out that I'm volunteering my time tonight. So still glad to be here. It's awesome. But actually, because of that, I don't think I might have done a little personal promo here. I have a comedy CD I will be selling after the show. Now, I'm going to have a table set up at the exit, so there's no way you can leave without making eye contact with me. So, but trust me, I've had people listen to the CD and say, man, there's some classic material on there. I know you're going to love it. It's really good stuff. It's Bill Cosby at his best from 1985. All his big hits, Foofy the Dog, Fat Albert Gets a Hernia, How He Developed Long-Lasting Relationships with Multiple Women Without Getting Caught. So things relevant in the 80s, we're still laughing and talking about it today. So hit me up. I do only have the one copy, first come, first serve, but considering I'm going to donate half the proceeds to the cause. How's that sound? So anyway, I know what's going through your mind right now, though you're looking up at me and thinking, boy, doing stand-up comedy has got to be very lucrative. And you'd be right. I mean, I've been doing this for about 12 years now, and the money's just rolling in. It's crazy. But it's not that way at first. When you start out, you're doing open mics, you're running around the Bay Area, you'll do a 200-mile round trip on a weeknight to get 5 minutes of stage time somewhere. And it's tough. A lot of people quit after that first year. Not me. I stuck with it, and I'll never forget the first night I did actually get compensated. It was great. I got a free drink ticket from the bar. And but then I kept working at it, and all of a sudden here I am today, professional comic, getting booked, with the exception of this show, getting paid. And but I did a gig last week, for example, $1,000, you know, so not too shabby, right? Well, I mean, I should explain, it wasn't for that one show. That is cumulative total after 12 years, but I would say probably a third of that has come in this past year, so it's really, really on the rise there, pretty cool. But you know what? I don't even do this for the money. I do this because it's so fun to perform for awesome crowds like you. You guys are great. And it's just really, really nice to do. But the coolest thing happened to me just a few weeks ago. Finally, after all this time, I got recognized by someone out in public who had seen me at a show. And it was very cool. I was right downtown here, Santa Rosa, having a sandwich at a deli. All of a sudden, this young gal walks by my table, does a double take. She goes, hey, you do stand-up comedy, right? And I said, yeah. She goes, I thought so. Friends that I saw at a show recently thought you're funny. I just wanted to pay you that compliment. And it was so cool. For the very first time, I felt like a real celebrity, you know? So I looked up at her and I said, hey, bitch, I'm trying to have lunch here. You know, just because you saw me on stage doesn't mean we're friends. We're going to hang out. So, put her in her place. I don't think she'll make that mistake. But I'm getting recognized is pretty cool, but there is one thing we don't have in comedy, and that is groupies. If you want groupies, you have to be doing some kind of music, you know, play an instrument, you know, be in a band. What drives me crazy, these bands, you can be a cover band, you can play other people's songs, and the groupies still want to have sex with you. And that pisses me off, because you can't do that in comedy. I can't come out and say, hey, I'm going to cover Gallagher tonight, and I'm going to smash a watermelon with a mallet, you know. It doesn't work that way. But in music, and the lead singers have it the best. You know, I don't care what these guys look like, the lead singers, the groupies, they get first choice and everything, and it's just nuts. It's not fair. And I'll prove it to you. I've actually had one groupie situation in my entire time I've been doing this. Had nothing to do with comedy. I was performing karaoke. So I was singing, but it's karaoke, but it still works. Now, I was at this one time, I had a new karaoke bar. And when I do that, I have a go-to song that just killer. Works every time. It's great. It's an oldie, as you can imagine. You might know it. It was from the Greg Kihn band called The Breakup Song. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, you know how it goes. It goes, so you're broken up for good just an hour before. Sound familiar? Same old song with a melancholy sound. Okay. All right. So anyway, that night is going great. I'm getting great audience participation, which tells me none of you were there that night, But anyway, so I finish, big ending, big applause at the end, nice ovation, hop off stage. Next thing I know, this chick is following me around. And I go, oh my God, this is my first groupie situation here. Now I don't know how to respond, So I work my way up to the bar and turn around, she's right there. And I go, well, I gotta play it cool, at least talk to her, right? So I go, wow, you must really like songs from the late 80s. And she said she did, which actually a bit of a coincidence. She was also in her late 80s. But I was flattered nonetheless. But I knew if I wanted to, I could have had her right then. But I didn't act on it because even though she was a total MILF, I said, I'm not going to do anything about it because I'm happily married. I wouldn't do that. I know John asked about who's married. There was a rousing round of applause in here when he asked that. But anyway, but I've been married for a while. In fact, my wife and I had quite a milestone yesterday. It was our 25th. And oh yeah, thanks. I need to explain her 25th day in a row without having sex. But thanks for that applause anyway. So, no, I don't really keep track, but it's, guys, we all know, there's that time you get married and you go, this is awesome, I'm gonna have sex every night for the rest of my life. And my younger daughter here tonight, she loves this part of the show when I talk about that. But you go, I'm gonna, sex for the rest of my life every night. But eventually there's that one night, the first night, when you're not gonna have sex. And it's hard to realize, adapt to. And you didn't realize there are certain rules your wife has, like, I'm not gonna have sex when I have the flu, stuff like crazy rules like that. But no matter how you try, it's just not happening. And you do have to rationalize it in your mind. And I remember thinking, God, probably a lesbian, and that's how you get over it. But anyway, but in reality, been married for 41 years, and people hear that and they go, that's great. What's the secret to a long-term marriage? And I said, there's no one secret. It's a variety of things, actually. I think anybody would admit to that. First thing is, basically, you have to remember what that old saying is, happy life, happy wife is unattainable. So, once you have that down, you can go from there. Now, I tell people, first off, you have to eliminate the thought of divorce from your mind altogether. Do not even think about it as an option. I go, well, yeah, if you do that, do you ever feel trapped? And no, I don't feel trapped because I love my wife. I believe in the institution of marriage. But most importantly, I have my faith in knowing any given time I can always kill myself. So, when things get challenging, you remember that, and that keeps you going. But here's the other thing too: you have to celebrate the anniversaries. Now that seems obvious, but first off, to do that, you have to remember the anniversary and do something on that date. Now it can be very simple. It could be a card, it might be flowers, it could be dinner, a combination of those. Mix it up every year. But do something. Now, I admit, every few years you have to take it up a notch and do something really special. And that's what I did this past year. I thought it'd be great to spend the weekend down in Monterey. So rather than just tell my wife about it, I thought I'd get creative. And I created a Facebook event, put it together, then I invited her via Facebook on the event. And she responded right away as interested. And so I said, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to Monterey, we're gonna spend the night, we're gonna have dinner, first off, Friday night at the Chart House on Canada Road. Why the Chart House? Because that's where I proposed to her. Then on Sunday, we're gonna go to church, Sacred Heart Church. Why Sacred Heart? Because that's where we exchanged our vows. And then when I say go to church, I mean we're gonna drive by on the way out of town. So, but we're gonna stay at a nice, quaint little hotel down there called La Casa de Monterey Bay. And so I started looking to make reservations. I couldn't find it online. I was getting worried that it wasn't there anymore. Well, it was a name change, no big deal. The property's still there. It's no longer called La Casa de Monterey Bay. It's now called La Quinta of Salinas. And that's okay. Actually, now they have the free buffet breakfast with the instant oatmeal and hard-boiled eggs. That's a little perk we didn't have before. So I go, this is great. So, but I wanted to make it special, so I called ahead to the guy and I said, hey, special occasion, 41 years ago we had room 119. Can we get that same room? And the guy checked the computer and he goes, yeah, I can get you the same room. In fact, you're gonna have the same mattress you had last night. So I wasn't expecting that. Now, I watch CSI, know a little bit about DNA, and I'm thinking, yeah, you know, there just might be some remnants. I don't know, but it just added to that level of romanticism and made it a special evening. But here's probably the biggest thing. Trust, because trust will prevent little problems becoming big problems. Had an issue at our house one day, a butt dialing incident, and what happened? I needed to make a phone call, walked out in the kitchen,